They'll tell you this video is dangerous. They're right. What you're about to hear will dismantle months, even years of your life. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every moment you blamed yourself when it was never your fault. Schopenhauer didn't just predict the dating apocalypse. He mapped out your exact suffering before you were born. This isn't a theory. It's your survival guide. Close your eyes and imagine this. A young man, let's call him Noah, spends his 20s chasing the dream society sold him. Find the one. Build a life. Live happily ever after. He invests everything, time, money, emotional vulnerability, into relationships that leave him drained, manipulated, or discarded. By 35, he's divorced, financially ruined, and emotionally hollow. Now ask yourself, how many men do you know like Noah? This isn't an anomaly, it's a system. And Schopenhauer saw it coming 200 years ago. In Metaphysics of Love, Schopenhauer dismantles the fairy tale of romance with surgical precision. He argues that what we call love is nothing more than nature's trick, a biological illusion designed to propagate the species. The euphoria, the obsession, the poetry, all of it is a mirage. The brain's way of ensuring reproduction before reality sets in. But here's where it gets darker. Modern society didn't just inherit this illusion, it weaponized it. Schopenhauer warned that as women gained social power, a radical idea in his time, the dynamics of love would shift from mutual duty to transactional exploitation. He wrote, "Women are directly adapted to act as the nurses and teachers of our childhood, precisely because they themselves are childish, frivolous, and short-sighted." Before you dismiss this as misogyny, consider this historical fact. In 1850, a divorced man in Europe could lose his children, property, and reputation overnight, while his ex-wife faced no consequences. Sound familiar? Schopenhauer called this the legalized robbery of male labor. Fast forward to today, where 80% of divorces are initiated by women, and the average man loses half his assets in the process. Take Friedrich, a 19th century German merchant. He married a woman of good standing, only to discover she had been secretly draining his accounts to fund her lover's business. When he filed for divorce, the court sided with her, citing her fragile nature as justification. Friedrich died penniless in a workhouse. Now replace 19th century Germany with modern family court. The script hasn't changed, only the actors have. You've been conditioned to believe love is salvation, that vulnerability is strength, that sacrifice is noble. Schopenhauer would laugh at your naivety. He wrote, "A man's happiness is to do what he wills. A woman's happiness is to will what he does." Translation: the system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed, to extract from men and redistribute to women. But what if I told you Schopenhauer's prophecy goes deeper? Now we expose how modern psychology, social media, and even the law are engineered to keep men enslaved to a system that hates them. The darkest truth? You've been complicit in your own destruction, and the escape begins with one forbidden idea. You wake up in a world that tells you masculinity is toxic, that your desires are predatory, and that your worth is measured by what you can provide, not who you are. This isn't an accident. It's a meticulously crafted system, one Schopenhauer foresaw with terrifying clarity. He wrote, "The more a man is imbued with the knowledge of his own worth, the more he must resist the tyranny of women." Let that sink in. Tyranny, not partnership, not love. Tyranny. Modern psychology has been weaponized. Consider the term emotional labor. Originally a feminist critique of unpaid domestic work, It has morphed into a cudgel used to bludgeon men into perpetual guilt. You're told to open up, to be vulnerable, to share your feelings. But here's the brutal truth Schopenhauer exposed. Women despise weakness in men. A 2019 study published in Social Psychological and Personality Science found that when men express vulnerability, especially sadness or fear, women perceive them as less attractive, less competent, and less desirable as long-term partners. The researchers called this the weakness penalty. Schopenhauer called it the natural order. Meet Oliver, a 28-year-old software engineer. His girlfriend of 3 years insisted he share his deepest fears. So one night, drunk on trust, he confessed his childhood trauma. The bullying, the loneliness, the nights he cried himself to sleep. She hugged him, told him she loved him. 2 weeks later, she broke up with him. Her exact words: "I just don't see you as strong anymore." This isn't an outlier, it's the rule. Schopenhauer warned, a woman's love is conditional. A man's love is sacrificial. And sacrifice, when demanded but never reciprocated, is just slavery by another name. If psychology is the velvet glove, the legal system is the iron fist. Schopenhauer wrote, "Marriage is a trap set for men by nature and perfected by society." Let's talk about no-fault divorce. Introduced in the 1970s under the guise of gender equality, it was sold as freedom for women trapped in unhappy marriages. But the data tells a different story. In the US, women initiate 80% of divorces. In cases where the wife earns more, the divorce rate skyrockets by 50%. Men lose on average 50% of their assets and 80% of custody battles. This isn't equality, it's predation. Robert, a Florida surgeon, married his college sweetheart. He worked 80-hour weeks to build their dream life. Then, at 45, she filed for divorce. No infidelity, no abuse, just "I'm not happy." The court awarded her the house, half his retirement, and $4,000 a month in alimony. Robert now lives in a studio apartment, still working at 62 because he can't afford to retire. Schopenhauer's verdict? The law assumes men are guilty of existence. Instagram, TikTok, dating apps. These aren't tools for connection. They're attention markets, where women auction their beauty and men bid with validation, money, and dignity. Schopenhauer predicted this too. He wrote, "The more choices a woman has, the less capable she is of love." Take Jake, a 23-year-old college student. He matches with a girl on Tinder. They talk for weeks. He takes her on 3 expensive dates. She ghosts him. A month later, he sees her on Instagram, vacationing in Bali with a guy who drives a Lamborghini. Her caption? "Know your worth, queens." This is the paradox of choice. Women, drowning in options, become incapable of genuine attachment. Men, starving for affection, become disposable. But what if the ultimate prison isn't women, the law, or social media, but something deeper? This is where we expose the final layer of Schopenhauer's prophecy. How modern men have been brainwashed into worshiping their own chains. The way out is darker than you think, and more liberating than you can imagine. There is a silent holocaust happening right now. One that governments ignore, media mocks, and society gaslights men into accepting as normal. Every 30 seconds, somewhere in the world, a man takes his own life. In the West, male suicide accounts for 75% of all suicides, with divorced men 8 times more likely to kill themselves than their married counterparts. This isn't just a statistic, it's a ritual sacrifice. One Schopenhauer saw coming 2 centuries ago when he wrote, "The first 40 years of life give us the text. The next 30 supply the commentary upon it, showing how much we have misunderstood." Most men never make it to the commentary. You were born into a world that hates you. From the moment you could speak, you were taught. Your natural instincts are dangerous. Your ambition is oppressive. Your suffering is deserved. But the cruelest trick of all, you were trained to enforce this system yourself. Schopenhauer called this the will turned against itself. A man who believes his own oppression is justice becomes the perfect slave. In 2018, a 32-year-old engineer named Marcus jumped from the 14th floor of his office building. His suicide note read, "I'm sorry I wasn't enough. Not smart enough for my father. Not strong enough for my wife. Not rich enough for society." What no one mentioned at his funeral? His wife had left him 6 months earlier, taking their daughter, after a family court judge ruled he could only see his child twice a month unless he increased his child support payments. The last photo on his phone, a Google search, how to disappear without debt collectors finding you. This isn't tragedy. This is systemic extermination. Here are the 3 lies that keep men in chains. Lie 1, love will save you. From Disney to rom-coms, men are fed the myth that a woman's love is redemption. Schopenhauer dismantled this in The World as Will and Representation. The love that promises salvation becomes the chains that ensure servitude. Historical proof. Look at Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, Germany's literary giant. At 23, he fell obsessively in love with Charlotte Buff, who was already engaged. His torment inspired The Sorrows of Young Werther, a novel so devastating it sparked a wave of copycat suicides across Europe. Goethe's later verdict? Love is an ideal thing, marriage a real thing. A confusion of the real with the ideal never goes unpunished. Modern men haven't learned. They still mortgage their futures for the dopamine hit of a text message. Lie 2. Your value is your utility. You are told you matter only as a provider, paycheck, a protector, human shield, a performer, entertainer, therapist, handyman. Schopenhauer saw this coming. Men are valued like tools, kept when useful, discarded when dull. In 2021, a social researcher conducted a simple test. He created 2 fake dating profiles. 1. Mark, 35, loves hiking, just got out of a relationship, figuring life out. 2. Mark, 35, CFO, 6 feet 2 inches, owns a penthouse in Miami. The first profile got 3 matches in a week. The second got 147 matches in 1 day. Women claim they want vulnerability, but their behavior screams, "What can you do for me?" Lie Dre. You are the problem. Therapy culture, self-help gurus, and corporate HR departments all chant the same mantra. Heal yourself. But this is a trap. Schopenhauer warned, to tell a man he is broken is to sell him unending repair. Consider antidepressant prescriptions. In 1980, 1 in 200 men took them. In 2024, 1 in 5 men are on them. Has male happiness improved? Or has Big Pharma created permanent patients out of wounded men? There is a way out. But it requires what Schopenhauer called the denial of the will. Not suicide, but the murder of your illusions. Step 1. Become ungovernable. Delete dating apps. Opt out of marriages that are legalized slavery. Laugh when they call you toxic. Schopenhauer. The free man is he who does not fear being alone. Step 2. Weaponize your suffering. Every great man in history transformed pain into power. Beethoven went deaf and composed his greatest symphonies. Nietzsche endured a decade of migraines and wrote, "Thus spoke Zarathustra." Van Gogh sold 1 painting in his lifetime, then revolutionized art posthumously. Your suffering isn't weakness, it's fuel. Step 3. Play the long game. Modern society rewards female youth and male maturity. A woman's peak leverage is 20 to 30. A man's is 35 to 55. Schopenhauer said that time humbles women and elevates men, if they survive. Take Hiroto, a Japanese salaryman who was fired at 40. Instead of despairing, he spent 5 years mastering AI programming. At 50, he was hired as a Silicon Valley consultant, earning triple his old salary while his ex-wife, who divorced him for not being ambitious enough, worked retail. His secret: I stopped living on their clock. Schopenhauer's greatest insight wasn't about women, society, or even suffering. It was this: most men would rather die than think. And that's exactly what they're doing. But you're different. You're still here, still reading, still fighting. That means there's hope.